Вечер добрый, уважаемые телезрители, и у нас продолжение интервью с Джулией Cannon и Kaya Wittenburg. Hello America, it's nice to see you and talk with you again. Last our interview has a great success because people do not believe that we can connect with you, Julie, and with your partner Kaya. We had a kind of breach, so thank you very much for this help, and I hope that we will keep going in, keep continue this kind of international bridge and explore with your help QHHT methods. What's news about our last conversation? What's happened?
Course online, as I believe you know, and we're working on getting that in Russian, and we hope to have that like within a month. Well, it just depends on how long it takes the translators and the subtitlers to work. So that's coming.
Great. So it's a big event for Russian audience. They will get a level 2, and we will talk about this in details a little bit later. And I would like to ask you about new themes, new topics, which is highlights right now. I know that you are producing every week a live show together, present about some information and some details about the methods and information inside of it. So I would like to ask you about parallel lives and alternative timelines. How it can be? So the people could ask me and I ask you.
Do you want to take that one, Kaia?
Yeah, sure. I can take that one. It is it is really exciting as we take these themes each week with our Facebook Lives. We try and take metaphysical concepts that can seem kind of ethereal and floaty and difficult to really comprehend and bring them down into a way that you can understand and kind of break them apart into pieces. And we can do that happily with parallel lives and alternate realities, because through the work of QHHT, we have learned in a very clear way that you are more than what you think you are right now. We tend to think what I am right now in this past and future that I can imagine is just one thing. It's just linear. But as we've explored this and used the technique of QHHT, we've seen it thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of times, how there's so much more to consciousness than just this imaginary linear line that we have. And you see it through past lives and other lives that come up as a natural part of the session. And you can see this when it feels so real and you're imagining all the places and you're there describing all of it in a very real manner. It's you feel as if you're going through this experience and describing it. And that's just one piece of how we're really now starting to unlock what consciousness really is. And instead of this line, consciousness is if you imagine different parts of a hologram going in every different direction, and you are the center of this. You are a bigger being that is actually the center of it. And you have many, many, many different lives in many different places, all over different planets, animals, beings, non-physical consciousness. You're much more powerful than you think you are right in this moment. Much, much more powerful. And the more you commit yourself to learning about your true power and to questioning what life really is, the greater you will get from it. And if you're listening now, you already have that sense of curiosity. You wouldn't be here right now if you didn't have a curiosity and you just accepted every single thing. Well, that's probably the way it is because I think everybody thinks like that.
Yes, but you are talking about that point of view and how the people can imagine that they can understand the same. I mean, if the people think that I'm just body, So I'm just working and sitting and etc. So how they can realize? So they should go deep inside in the state, I mean, which methods QHHT providing?
Yes, you can even do something more simple. If you're thinking, I'm the body, I'm this, I am just this right now. Oh, feel my hands, this is me. Feel my hair, this is me. How about you wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning when your body is really still and you don't really feel like you're connected to your body? You might actually say to yourself, I really can't feel my body right now at all. Am I my body or am I more? And in that state, that's just the beginning of realizing the difference of your non-physical self and your physical self. They're two different beings. The physical self is just an experience. The non-physical self is who you really are. That part of you when you're sleeping that realizes, wow, now I'm apart from this body. What could I do now if I want? You can do anything. There's nothing stopping you when you're in that place.
And so many times that's why some of the dreams that we have, that's what that is. And we're like, what am I seeing? We just think it's a dream. And actually it's when our soul is off having these different adventures and seeing these different things, and then it translates in different ways through the dreams.
How you describe how the dreams has a difference between the state in the trance when you're going with QHHT methods? What is the difference, basic?
You might be more aware in this in the trance. You might be. Now sometimes you are not, so it's like that's hard to tell. In a dream you might be more aware. I mean, so it depends on how lucid you are in that dream, how much you are aware of what's going on, that you'll remember and then know to bring that back. But actually they're probably the same places that you're going to see, and it just you're doing it in different ways. And one, you get a recording of it, and so you get to refer back to it for what you don't remember.
Yeah, but if we continue to talk about multidimensional timelines, how it can help to people realize himself in this life, or in general, how it can help in during this life? What is your opinion?
I think there is tremendous help, because for me, I know firsthand in going through this experience, I realized that the first life I had through QHHT, I was a French explorer. I was sort of a captain of several ships and bringing people over. And the feelings that I had in that life, the goals, the ideas, the challenges, there was this remarkable similarity with how my brain works now and how it's wired and what I feel like leading and how I want to keep moving forward and go into the unknown and pushing myself and trying to work with this thing of fear and doing crazy things like skydiving at high drop zones and testing my fears, being on boats. I'm looking out now at the water and I see boats all day long. And there's all of these connections to that life, which gave me a sort of extra sense of courage with this life to know that I am supposed to be here right now, and I am supposed to be living this out as my best life now. It's not some mystery. It's not something that I'm confused with. It's a place that I'm supposed to be. And that gives me power to want to move in it and take more chances and take more risks and not play a safe game in this life, not play a boring game, because that guy wasn't playing a boring game with his life. And I felt what he was feeling and I saw the payoff. And I was being showed that life for a reason by my higher self. When you think about that, it's pretty mind-blowing. Where else can you get that experience anywhere in this world? It's a really unique thing to QHHT that made me recognize this is something that everybody in the world should have the opportunity to try at least once, to find out more about who they really are.
And if we can take that just another, like we kind of sidestep it a little bit from that to within a life, you have all these decisions that you make, and every decision you make you're going down one road, and then the decision that did not, like you were at a crossroads, let's say, I have to make a decision here, and my life's going to dramatically change. All right. So the energy that was in the other life and the other decision, that continues. And so we have these split offs, and we're still focusing. Now you're focused on the one that you're in, but the other one is still going on. And so this happens many, many times throughout our lives. We have so many decisions that we make. And so that means every time that happens, and this is where we get into the deep waters of metaphysics. Okay. I mean, it's like you have these other parts of you carrying these out, but you're focused on this one. But at any time, and this is where you're talking about timelines, is you can move among these different experiences within a life that you can. And that can be what they call a parallel life, or it can be it's where some other aspects are playing these other parts out, see, within the same experience or within the same consciousness personality called you. I mean, this is where it can really mesh with your brain. Okay.
Anyway, it's convoluted universe, I can say. And I would like to ask you about difference. So some people are thinking that during the dream state that they can change something, the end of the dream or a kind of situation. Is it possible during the trance state, during QHHT methods? What can you say for the people who are wanna not to cheating, but to change something during their life?
If they want to change something during their life, now with QHHT, this is working with your higher self. And so the higher self is the one that's in charge. And that's the part of you that knows everything. It knows why you came. It knows what you wanted to accomplish, where you're going, all of those things. And so we allow that part of the person to guide the entire session. So what they're seeing is what they need to know that's relevant for their life now. And if they want to make changes, then that's something that can be asked of that part is that possible? Can this happen? And then that higher part of themselves will explain if it is or is not and how to go about doing it. And it will give exact instructions on what to do.
Do you have some exceptions? So the people come in and higher self said no.
Well, they might say no. It's like if this is the way it's supposed to be, just this is the course you set. This is what you want. But there again, it will tell you why. And that's probably the biggest thing, is to know the why. So if it's not okay, if it's not appropriate, then it will then get why, because you need to know that. That's very healing to understand why something cannot happen if that's the way it's supposed to be.
And you are a function of your belief systems. So if you would take a person in who's like, I really don't want to do this. I don't believe anything like this. I don't believe UFOs. I don't believe there's anything else but me. I only believe this is one life. And they come in and tell themselves, this isn't going to work on me. Well, they have free will, and their conscious mind has the power to stop the expansion and to close them off. That's their free will. That's their right. And they'll get what they want. But if we choose to work with people that are open, that say, let's just see how this goes, that's the beauty of things. They'll learn that they have this relationship with their conscious mind, and they can actually allow that conscious mind to just relax sometimes, to maybe take a break from thinking all the time about everything, thinking. Am I doing this right in life? Is this person right for me? Should I be doing that? Thinking. Maybe we need a break from that sometimes. Maybe we need to let that aside and just let a flow come into our lives.
Yeah, it could help. And I would like to talk about the Aquarian age, which has just begun, and we have this kind of reality. What do you expect? What does higher self expect from this age, from the people who are living during this time? What is your information about this?
Yes, the age of Aquarius is an awakening. It's a really large cycle of, I believe, like 20,000 years, something like that. Yeah, really big cycle. And within that cycle, we're now at the edge of it, going into it. The exact date of it, they're sort of wondering, but it's predicated by having more power of you as the individual instead of something that's bigger than you. It's about taking your own power in this world and making things happen in your life. It's about cooperation instead of a competition. So you're kind of seeing this now with technology a little bit, in that we have apps where we can share rides to drive. We have cryptocurrencies where we can kind of share into investments. We have all kinds of sharing things. You could even share a suit if you want, and not buy the suit and share it with someone else. And these things throughout the age of Aquarius, now they're just beginning. There will be a great opening of sharing and allowing us to be more united instead of split apart and having sort of rigid structures that you must follow through. The world is loosening up a little bit and not being as tight, and being more understanding of the individual and the opportunities that an individual can have in their business life, in their personal life, in their family life, in their love life. There's a greater acceptance that's happening. It's happening in some places a little bit faster than others, but it is happening on a greater scale for the earth. And you can participate in it by following your curiosity into the age of Aquarius and pursuing things that seem interesting, because you can find the information now. It used to be back before the age of Aquarius, where this type of information that stimulates you was hard to find. In fact, if you go back hundreds of years, you could get killed for saying the wrong thing, just immediately killed as being a witch or something like this. Now you can do research, you can go online, you can talk to people, there are groups. You can find information that makes you feel good and lights you up, that allows you to vibrate at a higher vibration and be more conscious. And there's many, many other things that are happening with the age of Aquarius, and how we're treating our bodies, how we're eating, how we're treating others, into a more holistic 5D world. And also when you think of like a 5D world, it's just a higher dimensional world, to where you don't have all these insecurities like we used to. You're more free to be who you are and not be afraid, and not be afraid of judgment or criticism. And it can be coming from a lot of different directions. But the age of Aquarius is you being you as fully as you can be. I think that's the best way of summing it up, is it's the age of you being you, not holding back you, because you're all different.
Yeah, and this atmosphere remind me about your topic, meeting your future self. What is this? Who is this? Please tell us the answer.
This is definitely mine. You know, and it sparks from the fact of, I really feel like I have one foot in the future and one foot here. I'll walk down the streets and I'll see a bus go by, and I have a feeling that the bus was actually floating and it was running on some type of hydrogen or solar radiation. It wasn't running on gas, and its structure was different, and people are behaving different. And I go through this world now and I feel like I'm straddling this world and a future world. And I'm in these realities at the same time. And it's not that I'm hallucinating. It's just that the reality is the difference between this and your future or your past or another reality is not a lot. It's really, the difference is like this much. Your consciousness can actually be in these different places all at once. We all have this ability. We just agreed to come to Earth with filters that block things out so that we could enjoy the process of breaking them apart and realizing more of how powerful we are. We agreed to come to Earth as this incredible, sort of dangerous, scary, powerful experience, to where you can go and you can feel the lows of the low, the lowest of the low, the scariest of the scary, and break through that all and transform. It's, this planet has a very unique way of doing this. And as we break through, we're able to see these different timelines. There is a future of you that exists at many, many, many different points in the future. And you can talk to that version of you, and that version of you can talk to you. So how does this work, you think?
Do you have a kind of examples with the people who passed the session and understand the future of yourself, how it's going on, how it's realized?
The way you can realize that future version of yourself is by first giving yourself the flexibility to imagine, giving yourself a flexibility to think about a life where you have all the things that you want, where you're not judging it, where you have that life and you're walking through it and you see, you know, maybe a beautiful spouse or mate, and you're in a beautiful place and you have a good job and you have these things, and you put a little energy into this, a little emotion into feeling this. And that's one way. If you can just stay in that place and not judge it and allow it, it's building a connection to that version of you, because you have billions of versions of you. So we might as well put some energy into the one you really, really like, because you could put energy into one you might not like, and you can bring that closer too. You could, and we tend to do that.
Yeah, it's better to understand the way right now than just catching a kind of experience with a bad way, I guess. And the question is how to understand that it's the best way for you for during this life. What is your how to say advice?
How to understand that it's the best way for you in this life? Well, you already sort of know what your desires are. So trust your desires in looking into this life. Trust that you already have an internal GPS that guides you towards what you're passionate about. But maybe some people tell you, oh no, don't do that. That's too risky. Oh no, 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 don't do that. You can't do that. But it's still there.
Yeah, if I could add there, like that GPS, see, it's coming from the heart. It doesn't come from the head, it's from the mind. So when he's saying what you're truly desiring, where your passion is, that's from the heart. And so that Geiger counter, or this compass, your heart knows exactly what it is you truly want. And that's where, yeah, other people from the mind state will come in and go, no, 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 it doesn't make any sense, and things. And that's where you just have to, it's about being true to yourself and what it is you truly want, because the heart definitely knows.
It's a good example with a compass, because some people can hire the compass not from anybody and just using it as its own way, and it's a problem because they have a compass but don't know which one of it.
I could say, yeah, trust your compass.
The compass that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to have a lot of different you have a survival compass too, that's very old brained, past reptilian brain, that's fight or flight. There's still the dinosaur consciousness of, you know, something's going to eat you if it's, you know, a reptile and you want to get away from it and you're so scared. But we're living in a world now where there aren't things around the corner that are going to eat us. You know, we have a higher brain now to where we can think above those sorts of things and resist and look towards things that are not making us afraid. You know, we need to realize now there's two major polarities that work in the universe. There's fear and there's love. There's negative energy, there's positive energy. Negative energy pushes away, positive energy brings in. Because positive energy brings in, it takes less of the positive to make an impact than more of the negative. It doesn't take much to really change the world. If enough truly people are engaging in the right positive energy, where they're sharing with each other these techniques like QHHT and working in the dream states and imagining their best realities and putting their energy in a way where they're not skeptics, where they're not cynics. It's still a cynical world that exists and a lot of polarity, but it's always your choice. When you see something, do you want to be cynical about it and say, oh yeah, you know, blah, 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 just garbage again? Or are you really thinking, in your mind how something can be better. And maybe it starts with you doing something small instead of just not doing anything. You have this all within you.
If we continue to talk about alternative timelines, possibly in these timelines we have fairies, elementals, and other non-physical beings. What can you say or can you add about this? What's going on?
Well, and this is one of the great things that we get confirmation of. I mean, you might have an inkling of it without confirmation, but this is great with the QHHT sessions. We see this. These are realities that exist out there. These are experiences that some people are having. Now, and then what we know from that is because of where they exist, they're just in another different frequency, different dimension. So they are happening here within this timeline and within this dimension. It just that because they vibrated a different frequency, we can't always see them. And that's why it's easy to go, oh, they don't exist. Well, there you go. It doesn't exist in your world, but they do exist. You know, it's just a matter of if you have the eyes to see them. So as that veil of forgetfulness, the veil that keeps things, like Kaia was saying, the filters, as those filters thin more and more and more, and we are more accepting of seeing, we're willing to see things that maybe before didn't fit with our belief systems and our structures, where it will allow us, it opens us to be able to see into these other dimensions. There are all kinds of things in these other dimensions, nothing to fear. It's just we have existences in them, but we think this is it. It's kind of like the linear timeline. Oh, this is it. Well, no, there's so much more as long as you'll open your mind to it. So much more.
How you can understand why the people during the session has this kind of information about this kind of reality? For what this information for people who are living in a different frequency of reality?
Right. Well, remember, the higher self is in charge and it's directing the session, and it will take the person to the most appropriate time and place. So there'll be something there that they need to see, they need to experience, they need to know, because it's relevant to their life now. It will give them information. So that's why, you know, they need to know if it was or whatever. But it may be that it's just like, okay, I'll give you an example. All right. I went to a life and I was a fairy. All right.
Oh.
And oh yeah.
It's nice to meet you.
Was not expecting it. I had something going on in my life where I was trying to work with these different people, and I didn't understand like how I didn't have the confidence to communicate with all these different. It was a whole different scenario of things that were going on, and in this session, it took me. You know, I was in this fairy kingdom, and I was kind of somebody in charge, and so and seeing all that's kind of, you know, anyway. But that's what it was. And I worked with the animal kingdom. I worked with all these other parts, and I was able to communicate with all of them. Any being there, I could communicate. And that's what it was trying to show me, is I have that within me to communicate with anybody. So it was like, let that insecurity go, because you have this in you. You just need to, you know, you had it before, you can have it again. Just draw on it and know that you can do this. So see how that was, it's like it pulls it from a strange place. You used to talk to all the different animals and beings and creatures. So of course you can talk to all different humans. It's like, see how it makes it relevant?
It's difficult to understand people who realized himself as a body. Okay, but we will try to push them to this kind of information. And you know, I had an interview with Russian scientist, who find out the elements of evidence. So the small, how to say, fingers, or big one like a big foot in the stone. So it's impossible to make by our technology, and for what is it? And we haven't clue how to connect this kind of evidence with our reality. And the science in general just take it off. So we do not see it, and that's not exist. What we can do.
Right, but here's the cool thing is science is gradually, it will eventually catch up, okay? Because it wants to do it by the evidentiary means and say, oh, this is, I have to have fact, I have to have this and seeing it in front of me. But as more and more people are believing that, you know, it's like this can actually happen, see, it will start bringing the two together. The science is just going to support what metaphysicians have known all along.
I guess the topic about starseeds is very interesting. I read 3 books of 3 waves of volunteers, which published in Russia also, and it's really interesting. And one of the wave is attractive myself, so generally it's understandable. But who is the starseeds, and what is this, please?
Okay, so it's anyone that has come here to help Earth. Now, when we did the show on Starseeds, it was like, I think the intention was like all the, like the waves of volunteers, the ones that are coming, and to help Earth and to, it's really help each other to elevate and raise the vibration, which in turn helps the Earth because she's going through her own ascension. And it's like, you know, hey people, if you want to go with her, we got to do this. Now, what came to me right before we did that show was they were saying, hey, you know, none of you are from here. It was, the planet was seeded from other planets and other beings and things. So actually everyone on the planet is a starseed. And because it's like, and that's important because some people say, well, I'm one of the waves. And it's like, and it's so important not to do that. I can't emphasize that enough. We are all here. There's just some that have been here longer. You know, maybe you have your original starseeds and then the new starseeds, which would be the 3 waves, okay? But we're all here with various missions, various things to accomplish, and it's all to help. Now, here's what I got another time, and this makes so much sense now with that message, is that the new ones, all the waves coming in, see, they help the ones that have been here, but what they're helping the others do is remember who you really are. We are all, none of us are from here. We are all starseeds.
It reminds me star sunflowers, kind of.
Ooh, I like
Possibly. That. Possibly we are on this special flower.